What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Iccy Show. This is interview 521 interviews I've done in 4 years. Give this special guest a second to get on here from Texas to Boston 617. We'll start this interview. If you want to be a guest on the Iccy Show, I'm booking until the end of January. We are international, baby. If it's your birthday, happy birthday. If it's your anniversary, happy anniversary. My condolences. Anyone has lost anyone. Happy Sunday to everybody. And that interview from earlier from Belgium will be rescheduled. Like I said, we are international. Look up where Belgium is, baby. So give them a second and we will start this. Salute, salute. Peace, peace. Also, Pastor Don Jr., his interview is going to be rescheduled too. I apologize about that. That was on my behalf. And then we got T. Lynn on the 27th, the owner of the magazine. And check me out. I'm in her magazine. The next episode, I will be in her magazine. So check the Iccy Show. We're international. And then I got King Constant on the 3rd of December. King Dice on the 4th. Young Promise on the 6th. Jay Salts on the December 10th. Jersey Shore Grizzly on the 13th. Sabrina on the 17th. Peace, peace. Here we go. What's going on, John?
What's Gucci
Hi,
Queen?
Sure. How you doing?
Hey, what's Gucci? What's Gucci?
Can you hear me or no?
Absolutely, I can hear you. Am I coming through clear?
Okay, I can hardly hear you, so maybe I can move you like
You can
this.
hardly hear me? Okay, let me make
So
some
how you doing,
changes.
William?
I'm blessed, Queen. I'm blessed. How's it looking out there? The weather changing out here.
It's like 25 degrees out here. How's the weather out there?
It's been about that all week. They say it's gonna warm up, get to about 60 or 70.
Oh, you guys are lucky. We're in 25 degrees right now.
Most definitely, most definitely. It's yeah, man. I can't believe Buffalo got what 66 inches in 24 hours.
That's
That is absolutely
crazy.
bananas.
I wish we had that out here, definitely. So how you
Right?
doing this Sunday?
Hey,
Everybody
I'm blessed
watching,
and highly
tuning
favored.
in.
Just in here working. What's happening?
I was saying hello to everybody that was tuning in on here.
Yes, absolutely. What's up? Also, I want to say first and foremost before we get into this, congratulations on 500 plus shows this
Thank
year.
you.
That's what I'm
I
talking about.
appreciate that, King. Much love and respect. Definitely salute. I appreciate that.
I be paying attention. I can't say something all the time because I work 13 hours a day. I'm usually sun up to sundown, busy. I don't even know how I accomplish what I accomplish, but I do see it.
Thank you. I appreciate that definitely because I know you've been supporting Nicely Show for a couple of years now. So much love and respect to you. Like I said, with you're in Texas, we're in Boston, so it's about networking state to state, country to country.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's part of the adventure.
So,
I'm definitely going. Go ahead.
so the people that don't know of you, so what made you start to get into this industry?
My love for music. Growing up, I can remember songs that take me back to just crazy areas in my life. You know what I mean? Being with my moms, my grandfather, just one song could take you back to a day that was so long ago. It's hard to, I can't remember what I ate last week, but I could listen to a song and it'd take me back 20 years. You know what I'm talking about? And seeing the direction that the music industry was going, and it's not all bad, but it's not speaking to souls like it used to. So, that's what made me get serious in 2019. I started for the future. It is an artist consultation and development company. That's when I linked up with you. T. Lynn has been helping me out as far as management is concerned. CEO 911 has been a big part of that. A lot of artists have come in since then. But it's really just finally taking my hobby and getting serious because, I feel like I got something to say, you know?
That's dope, definitely. And I know you're a multi tasker over there. You also got the other company. Tell them a little bit about that.
Okay, the other company is Moon Diamond Audio. That's also run by the same VP. That's my boy Shaggy, as well as my light construction. Contracting company where we do everything from tile renovations, remodeling, interior, exterior. Haven't got to concrete yet, but we definitely gonna get into that. But you know, it's a blessing to teach the youth. That works well with for the future, as far as giving the youth an opportunity to come out, work, make some money, and learn some new skills. You know, that can pay the bills down the line.
Mm.
Speaking of
That's
car
dope,
audio,
definitely.
we are in the lab. I'm building a sundown build. A lot of my audio heads are gonna know exactly what's up. Double stack magnet. I had to do that because you know real bass heads know what it is. You know, but I like working with all brands. You know, the sundown's my favorite. It's just pricey. I don't always have the opportunity to work with that product, so it's been a blessing. I got 4 builds done this week. Just finished one up last week, and about halfway through a Miata build right now.
That's dope, definitely. You should try to do a contest for making the loudest when they go to the car shows. You should try to do one for
Absolutely.
the loudest system around.
Absolutely. I actually have an event called Boomtown Bass Fest that I've had here where I'm at the last 2 years running. It's slowly migrated its way into every one of my events. We have a bass competition, and surprisingly, quite a few of the builds I've actually personally built myself. So I was really proud to see these guys that I built speaker boxes for out at my events competing. But then we got a lot of crazy custom builds. My buddy came in with like a 8 or 10 cubic foot box with 218s, and it was just absolutely bananas. So it's a new aspect to help bring fathers closer to sons and mothers closer to daughters. You know, come out in society, hear some good music, look at cars, relate, good food. Got a lot of good vendors that come out that are regulars that come out.
That's dope, definitely. Congratulations,
Absolutely.
everything that you're succeeding. So, if you could go under a record label, would you sign in a contract with the manager?
Hmm. See, it depends. Um, I'm not. I'm not your average bear. You know what I mean? I'm definitely a rarity, and I've got multi-million-dollar ideas bouncing around this noggin. I just got to get them in place and get the right investors. I do have some investors that have been making some things happen. Big shout out O'Reilly, AutoZone. They picked me up as sponsors from year one for the last 3 years. We've been doing shows together, and also JW's Collision. They've been supplying stages for our nonprofit events. You know, they've been definitely signing it over for free. So that's been a blessing. As far as joining with any record labels. What makes it so hard for me to sign is a lot of the stipulations. Part of For the Future is geared towards bringing the power back into the hands of the musician. And I do believe that a lot of the managers deserve more money too. Um, the game is kind of askew. You know, you kind of sit from the outside and don't understand it. And then as I've gotten involved, I've started to notice that there's people that are really putting out and putting on some work. Again, big shout out to your work, T. Lynn. Big shout out to Pastor Don Green.
Thank
Um,
you.
but I feel that the lifestyles of the people putting in the work should definitely be increased in the industry. I don't think there should be so many strings attached. However, Wu Tang is something huge to me because their mission's similar. You know, artists from all over the world, all different cities and states, with a common goal to just bring music to people. You know, and that's a lot of what I stand for. You know, I listened to a lot of their music when I was younger. I had an issue where I passed away. A lot of my memories were gone. So I'm getting back into music and so on and so forth. That's what changed my life and set me for the future. But I I like that label in a sense of it's more of a family and a conglomerate, and it is designed to be multifaceted. It is designed to be a network of collaborations that you can go all over the states, cities and states, and it's love. You know what I mean? Don't
Right.
get me wrong. These cats is gangster. These cats is grimy. You know, you get out of line, you might get touched. You know, but at the same time, that's anywhere in any hood. However, these cats approach it with love, and they're deep enough to where when you go into cities and states, it's not so treacherous. You got love there, you know, based off of who you're working with. There's other labels like Sony and Arista and other labels, but again, like I said, with the strings attached, this is no disrespect to those labels, but as a businessman that's really been grinding so hard for this long, you know, I really don't want
Yes.
to lose the freedoms I have as an independent artist signing up. Now the checks, I'm with that. You know what I mean? Things can be worked out. You know, a partnership and a business can be grown. You know what I mean? And that's how I work. I like it to be organic. You know what I mean? Working the things slowly so as things come, nothing's really overwhelming on either part. You get where I'm coming from. However, I stay ready to do shows. Just dropped Year of the Twos earlier this year. getting ready to drop the second part of Year of the Twos in December. I've been lightly advertising. I try to keep things under wraps because of the wow factor. You know, my fans tend to tune in and definitely get that wow factor when they realize, you know, okay, wow, I thought this cat was dormant. You know, here goes another couple of tracks we can really vibe to that I'm speaking on recent events.
Definitely, definitely. And salute to you because you introduced me to Pastor Don Jr. So salute to you putting that that connect together. We are gonna reschedule that interview. It will be very soon. So salute to him and salute to you putting
Absolutely.
that together. Like I said, and I love how you're about God. You talk about you support my Iccy Show Bible studies on Tuesdays, and I appreciate you supporting that because people don't realize like what we're dealing with right now is like serious stuff around the world, and it's like everything a lot from the Bible because they changed the Bible, but I mean there's some real deal stuff in there. How do you feel about it?
It's definitely biblical. I actually based everything that I'm doing. Sorry, I was looking up at a poster that I drew. I don't know if
I
everybody's
see it.
familiar with what's that?
I can see it. Your sign behind you. Yes.
Okay, that's my logo. That's the company logo. It's for the future, for TF with the cross in the middle. You know what I mean? Blessed. I don't, I try not to speak too much on spirituality because of how offensive it's become. However, I like how spirituality is for the people, for all people. It doesn't include any specific race. It doesn't, you know what I mean? It's about everybody eating, surviving, being happy, learning more, becoming more, and being more. You know what I mean? So as far as religion goes, I'm open to pretty much all religions as far as learning about them so I can be understanding and be a little more compassionate to every religion that's out there. You know what I mean? I consider myself a Christian for a lot of years and still do. However, the issue with that is the judgment that's associated and the discernment. You know what I mean? I'm all the Bible speaks volumes. It speaks to my soul. You know, there's a lot of things in there. However, I feel that the more of an understanding that any one person has of any one specific topic, it helps you be a little deeper. But I want to show you this here when you say my political beliefs. I don't know if y'all can see that. That's the year and the date. Signed,
That's dope.
what is that? That's signed 2010. It's an album
Yeah.
cover, and it pertains to everything that's going on in the world. Everything from the all-seeing eye to the pyramids to the New World Order here. Okay. Money in the eyes, New World Order, gas masks. Everybody wearing gas masks. You notice that suit and tie.
That's
You see no
dope.
man in suit
Definitely.
and tie on his Bruno Mars shit. That means everybody, even the rich, is out here wearing masks. I mean, it's plain and simple on TV. You know what I mean? Destruction in the world. CBS,
Yeah.
everything that's going on the news. You know what I mean? The damage and destruction as far as, the pills. That's what started it 10 years ago, 11, 12 years ago. And then it left to destruction of the youth. You know what I mean? Hospitals on fire. You know what I mean? Hospitals ain't doing what they did for families like they
That's
supposed to.
crazy.
People are afraid to go to the hospitals because of what they're dealing with. You know what I mean? Like everybody's going through some crazy stuff, and it's a lot of medical. It's a lot of just destruction all over the world. So bringing people together in unity, I think, can help everybody through these times because people that have never been down before are down right now. So
Wow. Salute. Have you ever gotten an award for your music?
as far as awards go, I have not. I'm working on them. My plan is this next year. My music has made the news. It has brought people up from 12 hours away just to drive down. Just this year, I did the first Juneteenth in a small town in Texas in the last 10 years. A huge event. We had people driving from all over the United States to go to this event, which surprised me. We actually made the news, NBC News, or sorry, ABC News. So that was a really cool event. As far as my awards go, honestly, it's changing hearts and seeing the changes in the communities in the music industry, the people that are noticing me, that are noticing what's going on. Not even really as far as the name and the fame, just more along the lines of regardless of what anybody says, I'm going to try to make positive music, and I could really care less, what it costs me, what I lose in the process, because I feel that people need to hear something positive. You know what I mean? I think that music speaks to the soul and the mind a lot more than we give it credit. So, I feel I got to do my part regardless of whether I get there or not. I got to do my part. This the hard work, this the grindstone. Whether I make it or not, I got to stand for something, so I don't fall for anything. You know what I'm saying?
Yep, definitely. And I respect you. how do you have time in the day to get everything all put in?
Um, I operate at my job, so it is absolutely a blessing that I'm able to, how can I put it, drive
Hmm.
and be on the hands-free headset, setting things up. Believe it or not, technology is actually amazing. It has definitely helped as far as being able just to be hands-free. Tell Google, hey, I need you to set this note, set this timer, call this person, etc. Set up meetings, log things. There's just so many different things that you can get involved in now that Google can do a lot. For lack of better words, I mean, it kind of spoils us because I still got my black book, my little Rolodex. I'm sitting here actually right in front of it. I moved it for the interview,
He's
but it's
prepared.
not even a little black book,
Hey,
but I'm sitting in front of it right now.
yeah, definitely.
And those communications are awesome. And between TikTok, Snapchat, Instagram, and Facebook, I mean, you can make so many different connections. It is absolutely it's impossible not to make those connections. If you're utilizing it properly, you can make a lot of connections, i.e., our connections.
Definitely, definitely. You know, they used to do like Bible studies and go away for like camp and stuff like that. They don't do that, having everybody get together and stuff. We need to bring stuff like that back so we make peace around the world, like what you're saying.
Absolutely, and that's the goal. I get up and try to be a live testimony. I have a Facebook page called The Living Word, and I posted for a little while, just to get the hang of it. And my last post was actually that my life was the living word. I'm trying to live in it so you can see my successes, my failures, God working in my life, etc. And as I made that page that in depth, I started to get a lot more notice and followings into the music, into the entertainment world, into the entertainment life, as an entertainer, because I think it's important that with your fans you can be personable. You know what I mean? Not always approachable, not easily accessible. You know what I mean? You can't be too accessible to everybody. But at the same time, I'm an approachable human being. You know what I mean? I'm not out here promoting my demise. So, I'm comfortable walking pretty much anywhere, different cities, different states, everywhere from Colorado to Oklahoma out to New York. I'm gonna come out there and see you. You know what I mean? Because I approach situations with love and respect and decency, as we should.
Yes,
That's how it was as I was a young buck coming up. Grown men was
definitely.
grown
I've
men.
been I've been definitely waiting to get you on my show because the Bible study started a year ago and you've been supporting it since then. So I appreciate you because you were one of the day ones for that, and I love the positive feedback that you gave me, and you're always supporting in it, and that's hard because a lot of people don't understand it, and if you do, you get it. And I
Yep,
love how that what you're doing, and you're trying down there in Texas. The same thing when I'm trying up here in Boston. So
absolutely.
it's about who you know and who you're working with and getting things done. Like when you say you're gonna get it done, you get it done.
Absolutely, and that's real important. I think the support system is very important. That's why we promote unity. You know what I mean? The mission statement is to do better in our communities, for the children in our communities, for the future in our community. The youth of the future. One day they're
Yes.
gonna be put in my wheelchair. I'm not always gonna be where I'm at. You know what I mean? A lot of people tell me, I'm on that OG status, and not because I was a gangster, but because I've seen a lot of things and rode with a lot of gangsters, but I'm teaching the youth that it's all good not to live that life. You know, I guess if somebody comes up, you know what I mean, and they're trying to harm you, don't not defend yourself. However, don't be out there asking for it. You know what I mean? Um,
Right.
what you ask for, you shall receive. You know what I mean? And karma is real. So, I think a lot of the things going on in the world right now are geared in the positive influence from the adults, from our generation, from my generation, is not there like it used to be. You know what I mean? Like if I was ever around an old head, they'd tell me to get off the block if it's 9, 10 o'clock. You know what I mean? Hey, yo, it's ugly out here right now. You know what I mean? You don't want to be out here, man. Go focus on your education. You know what I mean? Get your money right. You don't want no part of this. You know what I mean? And there was a lot. The survival rate in the streets was higher, regardless of the fact of it still being, 25 being the highest age people made it to. Around
Right.
in the neighborhood that I grew up in Colorado. But on top of that, it just wasn't it just wasn't as bad. You know what I mean? It almost seemed like there was kind of rules to it. You know, it wasn't gas stations getting shot up full of people, grocery stores getting shot up full of people, women, children, people got nothing to do with it. You know, catching stray bullet. It's kind of unreal when you think of it that way. And I'm not saying that the person that they're looking for should get hit, but it was a time when that was what happened. You
Right.
know, and regardless of how close you were, where you were around it, you know what I mean. You got to see your family because it didn't involve you. Now it
Right.
just seems that the code is broken. There's no code anymore. You know what I mean? The dishonor in the
Right.
streets right now is crazy.
You know, it would be dope if you could get like a van, you and Pastor Don Jr. and go around to like the jails and interview the not interview the inmates, but go and give them encouragement for the lifers, because they need someone like you that that you switch the negative to the positive. That's something serious what they're doing, but at least you can give them some acknowledgement. You can at least give them some encouragement, some positive motivation. And we need
Absolutely.
people like you to go inside there to keep them, you know, calm and collected, try to at least to keep them on a positive note, because some of them going insane. People losing lives left and right. So I feel like you got that energy that you can make a change down there and then come up this way to East Coast. I mean, up this way north.
Absolutely. And I'm definitely, I mean, that's the goal to make it around. But again, the money got to start flowing. That's why when you asked if I would sign to a record label, it's not that I wouldn't sign to a record label. I need the investors to understand that my vision is bigger than just being an artist. I write, produce my own music videos. I'm working on my own promotions, my own graphics. Just recently picked up a friend, Kelly. She's doing all my graphics for me, which is a blessing. So that's a little bit of stress off my shoulder, but I also do inventions. I've got networking possibilities, you know, things that I do that are larger than just your average artist. I'm not saying it makes me any different or any better. I'm a jack of all trades, master of none, but a master of one is better than a master of none. You know what I mean? So it's one of those situations where I don't want to be filtered. I don't want to be shut down.
Mm-hmm.
That's the hardest part, of signing to a record label. I don't mind, following rules. I was in the army, my mom was there, for she was rough on me. So I get and respect, the chain of command. I understand how that operates, management and record labels, etc. My main thing is I just don't want a ceiling on my capabilities.
Right.
And when the right investors come in, the right record label will understand why. I'm geared to make money. If someone invests in it, my return ratio is. I've made, uh, believe it or not, I've only had two unsuccessful missions in my career of 20 years, and it was due to investors. Not saying no names. They ducked out on me. So it wasn't even technically on my plate. But I like to make sure that my plans go through. Nothing's perfect, but I do like to make sure that when investments are made, there's a return. As a nonprofit organization, it's the best way to operate to make sure these shows keep going on for your kid.
Right. uh, you know um it's important to keep their mind, their mental positive, especially on serious matters. And I like how what you just said, you want to get signed, and I respect it why you want it. You deserve. You're an interested artist, and you're a great person, so you deserve to have the best. Especially what you're doing, what you're trying to make an impact. I like it, and I respect it 1,000%. And I hope that everyone that's tuning in will start, supporting you, following you, um, and let them know where they can find you. The people that are tuning in that don't have you on their page right now.
Absolutely. What's Gucci? What's Gucci? It's your boy Two Ton. The number two, TON, the number three. If you look me up on Apple Music, iTunes, Spotify, any of that, look up Year of the Twos. That's my most recent work. It's usually linked to something that's for the future. We've got 3 volumes of mixtapes out with everybody from CEO 911 to Smokey B to Chef over to DKG on that side, Veronica. We've got Drank, EXO, Turnt Life. We're basically collaborating. I've usually got 1 to 2 collaborators on each track, which is not common nowadays. You know what I mean? A lot of people are ducked off and kind of stick to their own, which isn't a bad thing. I can understand the trust. Not really too safe out here. It's not as safe as it used to be. So I understand, sticking with your own. But even through all that and COVID, I've still managed to network with hundreds of artists in the last few years. That has been an absolute blessing to me. You can find me at the number 4TH, the number 3, FUTUR, the number 3 at gmail.com. That's where you can email me. You can find my music on YouTube. I recommend watching the welcome video. Again, that's the number 4TH3, FUTUR, the number 3. I did that for copyright. I had to replace the E's with 3 so I can sign up as a nonprofit. It is signed off by the Texas Secretary of State. Again, I'm not in the industry currently to make money. I'm trying to change lives and change the world. I would love to, for this to pay my bills, but I got to get the footwork done first. I got to build a solid foundation. So that's why I've been grinding and have turned down the few offers I've gotten so far.
All right, definitely. Make sure you go support him, follow him. He got a lot of great things going on. If you could make a change in the world, what would you like to change in this industry?
In the industry, oh wow, that was controversial last time with so I mean, you got that side of it. I'll go ahead and approach it a little differently with this. If there was another thing I could change in the industry, it would be, oh man, it's really hard to get off that equal wage. Maybe the importance of the artists' lives.
Okay.
And the managers' lives, etc. I get, the travel and doing shows and so on and so forth, and the flights and everything, but there's been some crazy situations just throughout the history of me watching music, where people have lost loved ones and couldn't make it, have had children born and couldn't make it. I'm not saying that's a reason, you know what I mean, to miss a show or miss anything, but stacking them up to where it's 3-4 shows in a week, flights, you know what I mean, no room for even really sleep, is wearing them down. You know what I mean? I feel that they'd be a lot happier. You watch these interviews of these artists behind the scenes, and it's a completely different person than when they're on TV, when they're on, playing their role. You know what I mean? So I think the comfort level of the artist matters as much as the people that are behind the scenes that no one even knows exist. They're living the comfortable life as if not really doing anything is comfortable already, but the life is so comfortable and so lavish, and I think that's hurting the wealth gap. You know what I mean? It's putting the money in a lot of the wrong hands. The artists, actors, the people putting in really the footwork and getting the insight and really getting in depth and getting to know the artists, the producers, the promoters, etc., are kind of getting left out to dry when, at my job, I swing the hammer, I get paid. You know what I'm saying? There's not, granted the company makes its money, but I'm comfortable with my wages. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's important nowadays because the wealth gap is increasing, the economy is increasing. It's tough. It's tough.
Definitely. If you could, go travel one location, where would it be? East Coast?
If I could go travel. Now, are you saying for business or for vacation?
It could be around the country. It could be local. It could be California. It could be Boston. Where would it be?
It would have to be a crazy car scene. Because I got it, like I said, business and pleasure. Am I going to perform or am I going to just let go?
How about Florida? I think Florida could use you, your company with the cars down there.
Absolutely,
Miami.
Absolutely. Florida's a wild scene. The California coast is a wild scene. Really, I'm in love with the ocean. So I would love to be somewhere near the ocean. However, I would love to have, decent weather. I love the cold. A lot of people don't. It's something about, 16 feet of snow that I like. It's something about, looking out, over a bunch of cabins and wood burning because I'm from Colorado. I was born in Texas, but grew up in Colorado. And it just, I don't know, it grew on me. It's just something, it's a beautiful place to be in the mountain. Like, it could be anywhere, man.
Why?
It'd really be the side of a mountain somewhere.
Because you've been through hell and hell water. That's why you can say that. People that don't go through severe stuff or have been through a lot, they can't appreciate simple things. Those are simple requests that as a grown person, no disrespect to anybody on here, but I mean, look how easy those things that you appreciate, and people that are like, they're too greedy out there, and they need to slow down. And I respect you as a man that, what you're doing and what you're trying to make a change. And, I can feel it. So, salute to you and God bless you and your family and everything that you're doing. You just keep on going because you're going to make an impact. And we need you to be internationally, like, going to make an impact for people because we need a lot more people like you. So if you stop going around and people that are you're in tune to what you're trying to do, maybe we can multiply around the world on everything. That would be great.
Yes, I'm actually working on being international. I just started a huge project with Caesar Beats. I'm going to lease some beats. Well, I just leased it back. But also Akko Das, he's out in Nigeria, out in Lagos. And I've worked with him for the last 3 years. He won Producer of the Year at the UMA Awards in 2019. And he's been producing songs for me since. Great producer. I mean, my man is a blessing. So I've got a little bit of radio play and airplay out there, a few places in the UK. Um, so it's slowly growing, and I completely hear and understand your message. And any way that we could help each other, let's make it happen. I mean, these events, I'm with the vendors, I'm with the extra minds, the investors, etc. Because to build a super show, I'm trying to make the next Start convention. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna be
Yes.
bananas. Everybody's gonna have their own perspective, but people are gonna come from all over the world to these events. I
Yes.
definitely want to make sure that the people that need the appreciation get the appreciation. I don't want to leave out indie artists or top end artists. I don't want to leave out graphic designers. This industry is huge, and there's people that have never touched a microphone that are making just as much money as people touching the microphone, and vice versa. So there's a lot of people behind the scenes that I think deserve credit for their arts because when we were younger, that's how we got into our careers in our field.
Right.
We seen it. We seen a lot of these things happen, and they say behind the scenes now, and it's like a VIP room. When really it just used to be the work getting done. People working on the computers. Back there editing, holding lights, lifting curtains, things like that. And it's
Right.
just it's odd that it seems that stuff is hidden now, which is leaving less to the kids. It's leaving less for the kids' imagination to say, hey, I could do that. Hey, I could do that. I might not be able to do a triple axel backflip like Christy Yamaguchi, but I could set up that floor. I could, I could run a company like that. I could,
Right.
run that stadium, etc. So I think that, with Showbiz, I'm also working on a Netflix special. I won't say too much about it, but it is called Showbiz. So it is to help behind the scenes come forward. Help these youth understand that there's more in the world than what they see on TV. Because everything on TV is perfect. It's prepped. It's perfected. It's the hair is trimmed. The burnouts are practiced.
Right.
Everything is scripted. So
Yes.
they don't understand that it's really real life. It took them 10 times to make that scene happen.
Right.
12 times to make that scene happen. They didn't just get in there, hold the camera, and everything went smoothly. And those are the tough times that a lot of the youth are missing out on right now. So I think it's vital that we get the youth more involved in real life scenarios and real life things as opposed to this fantasy world and reality that everything's perfect and you can sit behind a computer screen and
Right.
far succeed anyone. Now, granted, the graphic designers are important, but what I mean is there's people that aren't good on computers. Let's give them, they need to see something too. They might
Right.
drive tractors. Who knows? They might be the best tractor driver in the world. So you really got to put these things in front of the kids because right now what's being put in front of them isn't
Are you
enough to
looking for
sustain.
features?
Oh, I'm
Sorry, I
definitely looking
apologize.
to absolutely. I'm looking to expand. I'm looking to grow. I'm definitely looking to make as much possible impact that I can in the world. I want to work with an artist from every city and every state, whether it be on a whole project or a whole album. Ask my dude CEO 911. We got together for 2 months to put together a whole album, a few music videos. Chef 5 Half. We got together for a few years and made some things happen with a restaurant and a nightclub. So my goal is the more people that you can work with, nobody can do it alone. But also with music, that is what drives me. A lot of people, man, how you a non-profit? How you not making any money off of it? What drives me is the ability to push my lyrical talent to places it's never been. I want to work with somebody from everywhere, on every type of music, just so I can test my limits. You know what I mean? Same reason why the actors do it, why the stunt men do it. I'm pushing the limits so I can progress, but I could also learn the limitations of my art form and my skill.
Right. Right. I appreciate that definitely. I could see you doing like a gospel or something in, remixing, certain songs from the Bible and stuff like that,
Yes,
from church. I could see
I
you
would love
doing
to
that
work
of
on
it,
that.
like a more up to date one for the youth. They could understand it better, than when we were growing up. What it was, every week you had church, you had Bible studies, no matter whose house you locked in for whatever. And then it seemed like 10 years, everything just separated, and people don't really enforce it. These kids are cussing at their parents like it's water, like it's okay to do that. And it's like, if I ever did that, I would have got slapped across the face. I would have got the slip across the room. You would have
I'm
got
telling you.
something, and it would have been a-okay.
Yeah, nobody would have looked twice. I'd have been, rolled under a cereal aisle a couple of times. I'm in Walmart. People like, yep,
Right,
I'd have did the same thing and kept walking. Like, hold on, I'm over here. I done got dealt with, you know what I'm saying? And y'all just
right,
go, but I was out of line. I understand that. Then I'm thinking I was the victim. Now I understand that helped me get through life. That helped me navigate through life, understanding that there's consequences for your actions, causality and effect.
right.
So
And
yeah,
you might think you're doing something good, and then you're doing something negative, but that will, karma does work. Karma comes, it might not come now, but it will come down the road. And when you're not expecting that, and you'll be like, damn, why does this keep happening to me? Why does it keep happening? But, sometimes it's who you're around too. You got to turn around and, evaluate your circle. Any of that negative, you need to cut it out. You got to chop it
hmm
down. Cut the all snakes get deserves to get their heads chopped. Like it's
yeah,
nothing negative to nobody, but we're all supposed to be loving each other. We're all related to some way, somehow.
yeah,
If you do the family tree, it comes down to two people who are started, and then multiply, multiply, multiply. That's why it's called the family tree. And people don't understand all this killing, all this, all these families that are hurting right now. I mean, let's like start like making families come together, more families, more marriage, more real love than that fake phony stuff, because that's not going to make the world a better place. We're the ones to make a better place. We're the ones to make that change around the world. If we don't make a
absolutely.
change, our children and our grandchildren aren't going to have a future, because all they're going to know is about the survival, about killing, surviving, because all this, that's what's going on around the world, and it's getting worse. I talk to people around the world, different countries around the world, like Italy. Um, Shout out to UK, Italy,
Yeah,
um, um, Africa, the
yeah.
home of motherland. People don't understand how Africa is. And people really should respect it and send clean water over there. Figure out a clean water solution to help people survive over there. Haiti, look at Haiti with all the earthquakes, and just to survive in a tent. I mean, that's not a way to survive. I understand it's to be thankful what you receive, but it's also, it's the families multiplying everywhere. But we need assistance around the world. We need people like you to make that difference about it's positive, even though what's going around.
Yes, and that's the infrastructure. That's important. While we're on the subject, I want to say huge shout out to Akon for making that real money and then taking it back to where he's from and putting on. That's a
Yes.
lot of those $1 million ideas that I say that I have. You know what I mean? I've got more ideas than money, and that's a super fact. You know what I mean? So once it starts coming, you know what I mean. I also want to point out Flint, Michigan. That's still a bad, very bad situation, and that's right here. You know what I mean?
Right.
And unity and bringing people together, I think, is not only going to benefit that, but what I think is sorely lacking is the ability to take and make, take and build. If we have that issue, okay, say that's been how long's it been going on in Flint, Michigan right now? How long's it been they ain't had clean water? Years. It's been years,
Yeah.
okay? If in the beginning there was an infrastructure to put in place to put two machines there, whether it be tractors, loaders, something to help put the pipe in the ground and start with a 1 man, 2, 3 man crew, paying them every day. And eventually that company would turn into 2 trucks, 3 trucks. By now, 4, 5 years later, they'd have new pipes all over that city. And it was a small initial investment, you know what I mean, to get started on the problem at least. You know what I mean?
Right.
Which is kind of crazy, you know what I mean? All this money and these millions and billions of dollars that are floating around from the government. Something as small as a project that big, a few machines and a few men to get started on a very big problem that it's sorely lacking in the community. You know what I mean? And I'm the type of person to stand in front of Congress if I have to and speak my truth without any any deflection, without any concern, without any disdain. No distaste for anyone. I don't need to be disrespectful. It's the truth, causality and effect. I'm outside of the box looking in, and this is the problem. This is the solution. You know, I'm able to remove myself from a lot of situations,
Right.
even situations I go through, to help solve the problem. Problem solvers like us are rare.
Right, right, definitely, definitely. And when we were growing up, we had the youth programs and things like that. These kids don't have it, so they're hitting the streets young. Last year, when I was on the tour, one of the things I helped out in New York, I gave free lunch. I made lunches and I gave it out there, and it's crazy how young they're starting in the streets. Like there's 10-year-olds on the block, and people don't
Yeah.
understand. There's hitters on the block, 10 years old, and it's like,
Yep.
how we're gonna make a change if they're gonna keep on doing this. We're supposed to look out for the young ones. We're OGs. We're supposed to be like, all right, this is the way it's supposed to be. This is how it's gonna be. You disrespect it like this, then like we, everything was in order. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Hmm.
for instance, the street lights came on. You'd see all the kids hopping the fence, getting right to the house. Everyone
Yeah.
would be,
On their way
I'll
home.
see you. I'm 10 minutes late. I'm going to get that whipping. But, it's like, what happened? Like, it's like the devil's taking over our world, and people aren't realizing all that negative is making it go going up, up, up. And it's like, come on, let's start doing better. If you got that money to open a youth center, open a youth center. These kids need structure. We're the ones to make it. So if you got that money, do that. If you can open a church, do that. Make the basement into a youth program. Have the
Hmm.
the ministers, the pastors, the nuns, go back to the nuns, taking care of everything, that's what
Hmm.
we really need, because this world's going crazy, and people say they can make a change, but they're not making a change, because if you got the wealth to do it, then do it,
Yeah.
and it's like, if you can
Absolutely.
be a word of a mouth and make that connect, then do that too. We got to make a change. We can't keep on saying we're about to be a new year. 2023 is right around the corner. We need to start making that change. Look at 2 years ago with Corona, and we got all this other stuff coming up, and it's
Oh
like,
yeah, that
how are
hit
we
me
going to
bad.
protect our children if we can't even make the streets clean for the children? Even like with the police brutality, they gotta come together with stopping with that, for the streets. They could work with artists, they could work with people around the world, like, it's not about just killing, 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 because that's just erupting, erupting, erupting. We need to bring that shit, excuse me, that down a notch, because, we're the ones to make the change. And it's just getting worse and worse and worse. And it's going, everyone says, oh, this is getting out of control. This can't do this. Look at all the artists we lost. Over 1,000 artists in 1 year we lost. And, artists,
Over a
we should have a
thousand.
special life insurance for all the artists. If they should, how they have life insurance for a regular person, they should have life insurance for artists. I know they're losing their life, but set some grounds on it, because someone could put, like, you get life insurance, and then they know about, how much you have and stuff, and they might hate on that, but make restrictions. We need
Yeah.
more laws in the hip hop industry, for the better. We used to have the break dance that you could have Crips, you could have Bloods, you could have Latin Kings, you could have everybody in there from a block in the same room getting along, sipping in the same room getting along,
Hey,
supporting
I
each
got a
other, and
testimony
it's
on
like,
that.
we need to make that change.
I don't mean to cut you off, but I definitely got a testimony on that, because I had an investor, like I was talking about JW's collision, that seen me doing something, was like, hey, I can provide you a free stage. AutoZone and O'Reilly's reached out, say, hey, we'd come out with some merch and help support, bring some car guys. But I was with the group Most Wanted back in the day, that we actually had a GD, Vice Lord, Crips, and Bloods in the same music video. It's called Certified G by Dom Vic and Kalo. It's on YouTube right now. You can take a look at it. I'm in the video. We had all these different hoods, and these are OGs. Dom Syndicate Empire, he's still doing big things. He's out here on Facebook right now. Everybody's still doing their thing. They real gangsters too. They in the turf. And we had them together. We brought them together. And it's not impossible. That's what a lot of people don't understand. They're letting their fear take them over. if you approach the situation positively and with respect, and you take God with you, you can overcome anything. You know, like my man being put in with the lions and not being eaten. They was hungry. You know, this is things that people are too busy putting control in their hands, not realizing that life technically is out of control. It's where you put
Yes.
your effort and where you put your faith that gets you where you're going. You know, either you're going through life swinging a machine gun at everybody, which isn't going to end well for you, or you're just going through life walking. That's you're gonna have two different outcomes. Same person and doing, I mean, and there's a million different ways to approach a situation. So
Right.
I hear what you're saying with, the gang violence and all that stuff. If we can communicate and speak to people and start to cherish life again, it could end a lot better for everyone.
Definitely. That's the same thing like in Boston. We had seven in, excuse me, in one day. It was 2 weeks ago in one day. And it's crazy because it's like, families are hurting over, all of it, but it's crazy too because it's like, when is it gonna stop? You you try to make a difference. In Boston, anybody knows the wise guys, you can go look them up. Um, the Back in the day, the police hired them. The mayor Menino, the old mayor, he hired the wise guys, and they were related. They knew everybody from different sets. So
Mm-hmm.
they made it simmer down in Boston, and Boston, I feel like they need to get the wise guys back together, and well, they're still together. It's a group, and have them take control because they can make a difference because they know how to talk to the people. It's the way how you talking. We have a new mayor in Boston, so she's just new into everything. But I mean, the crime has been incredibly high from what we're used to, and the year's not even over. Like I said, 7 in one day, and that's not even including the local cities. So I respect you guys, what you're doing out there, and I look forward to getting the pastor on the Iccy Show. I'm gonna send him another call and let him know,
Absolutely.
we can reschedule that. And I appreciate you putting that together. And again, let any shout out you want to give, anything else you want to bring up before we end your interview.
Okay, I want to bring up that next year we're going to be doing the Ford versus Chevy, which is an event where I've got two multi-billion-dollar organizations both sponsoring it simultaneously, which are in the shark pit together, basically competition in the real industry, real world. That is AutoZone and O'Reilly's. They will be sponsoring this location right next door to each other. We'll be bringing hot rods and street classics from all over the world that have been sponsored in magazines just to bring the youth together. It is a friendly competition, which is where I like to stand on that point that nothing is impossible. These two companies are complete competition. It is a huge rarity that you will ever see them work together on anything. That's like Walmart working with King Supers. It's just a PR nightmare. It is absolutely crazy. I went and did this by myself with a nonprofit organization, no money involved. That is my testimony to you kids out there. Absolutely nothing is impossible that you truly believe in, that you put your heart and your effort into, and you do it for the right reason. When you're doing things for the right reasons, karma is real, genuinely real. And when you do things for the right reasons, that good karma comes back just like bad karma. Okay.
Right.
We're also going to do Rat Rods and Classics next year. I'm going to be releasing a huge project with Caesar Beats again. As I said, I'll be releasing more music with Akko Daz. Me and CEO 911 are currently working on a project right now. Congratulations on the VP status for the future, CEO 911. That is all you. I want to shout out again Pastor Don Green. I want to shout out T Lynn for helping me get my foot in the door in this industry. Huge shout out to you for
Thank
basically
you.
making things happen in your world and in your life, and blessing me, you know what I mean, to come in with you. Congratulations on all your accolades and your accomplishment. And I pray many more to come, and I pray this is the first of many interviews for us. Um, and I also want to send a message out to the youth that are confused.
Thank you.
Reach out if you have to. Contact me on Facebook Messenger. I am what they call a real OG. I get it. I understand. I've been in the trenches. I've been clutching a pistol, worried about my life. But I'm a humble man. I understand the wrong in that. It took me growing. Reach out, talk to me, man. No matter what you're going through, no matter what your life is going through, this is what we're here for. This is what us OGs are here for, Jackie, everybody else. Again, like I said, I'm not too approachable, but I am not so high and mighty that I don't have the time to speak to someone that's lost and broken as I've been lost and broken. You know what I mean? That could keep you from going to prison, that could keep you out of jail, that could keep you from killing somebody or yourself. Life is hard. People are jumping on people. Social media has got so many bullies on it. Reach out to someone. And I know you don't know me, but I'm going to give you positive guidance. You know, you can take what I say and throw it in the trash. You can apply it to your life and possibly live a better life. So again, to the youth, don't be afraid to speak about what you're going through, your problems, your troubles, your trials, and your tribulations. You'd be surprised that you're not the only one going through these things, and that people can help you through them, and nothing is the end. So again, I just wanted to put out that positive message just for the future, baby. Friends, fans, fam, and followers, everybody that's out there. Big shout out again, Five Half Chef. I could start naming artists for days. Let me not get on a rant, but EWWN Radio. Thanks for all of the radio play, 365 days of radio this year. It's been lit.
Okay, definitely. Salute. I appreciate everything. And make sure everyone tunes into him, support him. He's doing major things over here. He's trying to go everywhere. So we can make that happen, make it happen, definitely. This is interview 521 interviews I've done in 4 years. I appreciate you coming on here, William. Much love and respect to everyone that tuned in. Tell a friend, tell a friend. I'm booking until January, and I appreciate you. Share this, tell a friend, and have a great day, everyone. I appreciate you.
Share,
Much love
share,
and respect.
share. So
I
so
appreciate
much
it.
love to Iccy Showw, baby. Blessings.
All
Much
right.
love, Queen. Thank you.
Salute. Let's go.
Lego.